He peaced out, man. He's like, peace out, motherfuckers. He's a scared little rabbit. So all the Discord private messages about him being paranoid about Blizzard turned out to be, I think, pretty true. But it was really funny how Ascension WoW immediately just picked up and said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We got this. Server ain't going anywhere." And then I watched one video where a guy's like, maybe Ascension has some sort of a backdoor deal with Blizzard. Either that or they've been served and they just keep it all under the wraps and they don't mention it. But Ascension WoW seems like completely impervious to everything that's going on, which is really interesting, right? But the other thing is, I was watching that one guy's channel, I can't remember his name, the AmberShire Gaming or whatever, and he brought up an interesting point where he basically said it could be that Microsoft has taken over Blizzard and that what they're doing is they basically look at all the private servers, look at all the money they're making, and they've decided, you know what, why are we trying to develop Classic Plus? We don't need to develop Classic Plus, this is the big brain idea, right? This is the smart thing that Blizzard should do. Now, I don't know if they're going to do this, but, well, just think about it. Blizzard doesn't need to make Classic Plus. Why have a team create something that invariably the community's not going to like anyway? Because anything they put out is going to be garbage, right? Yeah, exactly. So all they need to do is license their you talked about this already, but just license it. So basically let private server communities or developers create versions of World of Warcraft and then just license it. And that way Blizzard gets like, 50% of the cut or something? Like they pay a fee to license it, but then Blizzard also gets any kind of money they make off of it, right? So, I mean, that is the only way forward that could be good for us, the gamers, right? If they did that, that would be cool, because it makes me think of... I haven't played a lot of other private server games that are like that, but I mean, I always think of Unreal Tournament, even though Unreal Tournament is a little different. But Unreal Tournament allowed people to create custom content. Like Tactical Ops, for example, was a mod that was created on the Unreal Tournament. And the Tactical Ops was basically Counter-Strike. So Tactical Ops was basically the initial creation of what became Counter-Strike. It was basically a mod on Unreal Engine. So not only could people license World of Warcraft, they could completely create all kinds of custom MMOs based off of World of Warcraft's game engine. So you could have games that don't look anything at all like World of Warcraft, but they're made under the same software toolkit, right? And I don't know, the idea I think is a great idea, and Blizzard would make a killing. Blizzard would make a ton of money, and they don't really have to do anything. The only thing Blizzard would have to do... Now, there's a couple different ways to do it, right? One of the ways you can do it is you somehow create a server toolkit. So basically what you do is you provide the private server developers a server, a piece of your official server toolkit that they have to run. They run that, and it somehow, I don't know how they would manage it. Or, well, actually, you wouldn't provide the server toolkit. So Blizzard would provide the server. So you connect to their servers. They just give you like the means to create patches. So like basically they have a base server. Here's their base server version 1. You custom create content. That content is installed on their server as a patch, right? So if you were TurtleWow and you wanted to run a TurtleWow private server that's licensed by Blizzard, Blizzard would say, here's our server. TurtleWow would create their custom patched content, like their DB files, whatever they are. Those would get installed on Blizzard's server, and then Blizzard hosts the server. That way they control any kind of shenanigans, right? So that nothing is going to go against their terms of service, because they're not going to want like nudity or... And they're going to try to control that part of it. They don't want anything that bears their name, Blizzard, that's going to reflect badly on them as a company. So it's not like they're going to say, well, here's our server code, just go run your own stuff. I mean, they have to somehow moderate it, right? So how does Rockstar do it? Like, which games are they doing it on? I just would like to know how do they maintain or moderate the servers? Do people run, like, which game is Rockstar running that does this? You know what I mean? Like, give me a specific game, because you're just saying. So okay. So Grand Theft Auto. So Grand Theft Auto, does Rockstar Games host the server? Do they host it? Do they run it on their hardware? You know what I mean? That's the big question. I mean, I would assume they would, right? Or is the server maintained by private teams? So I would assume that Rockstar still runs the actual server, and that people who develop for their version of Grand Theft Auto somehow have a toolkit where they can install custom content on that server. Yeah, exactly. And that's the way to do it. That's the only way you can do it, because they have to moderate the content. They can't just let you put anything on that server because it could reflect badly on them as a company. So, oh wait, there's something Turtle Wild General. Someone responded to something. You don't know if Ascension also got one and are not complying. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Of course. Whatever. People are so stupid. People are so dumb. People are like, I responded saying maybe Ascension has a backdoor deal. And I didn't say I say they have a backdoor deal, but actually some other content creator had a video where he said maybe Ascension has some sort of backdoor deal with Blizzard because they've never really seemed to shown any fear of being taken down. And then someone said, oh, it's just because maybe they got served or something, but they didn't lay anybody down. I'm like, well, yeah, of course there's that option. I mean, thank you, Captain Obvious. You know what I mean? People are so stupid. Anyways, this is just a short lunch stream. I can't stream for very long because I actually have to be back at work in like 30 minutes or something, but yeah, so I mean that's what I mean, but it was Ebenard who did the video, and we've all talked about it. I mean, he's the first one that said maybe that's what they're doing, but we've all talked about this. We've all said this is something they can do, and I think everybody agrees it's something they should do. When you think about how much money they can make, I mean, it's a cash cow. World of Warcraft at this point is the biggest cash cow, one of the biggest cash cows in gaming history. Like, this IP has the potential to be the largest, if it isn't already, the largest profitable video game in the history of video games. Because if they license this out and like give people a really good toolkit for development, it could spawn so many games. Think about that. If they license this out and gave developers a toolkit, guess who's going to start developing on it? I am. I would 100%, if they put out tools that are really good and powerful and aren't the janky tools that people try to use with the private server emulation bullcrap, which is janky shit. If they put out more modern tools that are powerful and better to use, I will start developing for a private server. I'll fucking do it, right? Because it's official. It's not illegal anymore. And there's money to be made doing it, right? So, and exactly, now if they give the proper tools, people can create entirely new MMOs based off of that. When you think about, like I said, Unreal Tournament, people created Tactical Ops, which was basically Counter-Strike, on the Unreal Tournament game engine, right? And that was just a bunch of people that decided to make this version of the game, this like their own little custom game. The same thing would happen with World of Warcraft, and it would by 100% become the most profitable game, if like I said, if it isn't already, of all time, right? When you look at the MMO landscape and how void it is of good MMOs, like how void it is, we know that passion is what makes a good MMO, and the people that are developing MMOs don't really have a lot of passion. They're just doing it based on like, we're trying to make money. We're trying to get money out of you. You know, there's certainly, it might start off as a passion project, but it always end up being destroyed by the bottom line. You know, is this game profitable or not? You know, and it always starts off with good intentions, but they end poorly because they're always managed by some sort of board of directors who all they care about is money, and they're a bunch of greedy piece of shits, right? Well, Blizzard needs to play into their own greed, give the tools to the developers, license the shit, and now you're going to get high quality content, and Blizzard's going to make 10x, 20x, 100x. Honestly, I think they could 100x. 100x the amount of money they could possibly make. I got to back up here. I'm going to get four mobs here. I can handle 3, but 4 is a little... Actually, no, I can handle 4. These guys ain't nothing. Where's this other guy? Let's get him in on the party. These guys ain't nothing, man. They're weak. They're weak. Hey, Knox, how's it going?
Kiss your ass goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah, I just copy Rockstar games. But I mean, it's the
You can
potential,
kiss your ass goodbye.
the potential
You can
money
kiss your ass goodbye.
Blizzard could make off of licensing this out to private server communities to develop their own custom content. The potential for them to make money, I think, is astronomical. I don't know how, you said Rockstar Games is the most profitable. I think Blizzard would surpass them. I don't know if they would or wouldn't, but I mean the potential there is there. The writing's on the wall. Like the need is there. The hardest thing in a corporation to make money is for especially any kind of software, for a corporation that develops any kind of software. The hardest thing to identify and make money is to identify a need, is to actually prove that there's a need for your product, right? Most people, when they start a new project, they're just hoping, like if somebody first created the first, like iPhone, they're hoping that the need is there. They're hoping that it's there, but Blizzard doesn't have to hope. They already know the need's there. The private server communities have proven that the need is there. So it's a home run. It's an easy win. There's no risk. There's absolutely zero risk to them doing this. Like it just makes sense. So for them not to do it again shows once again how stupid Blizzard is. They've proved time and time again they're not a very intelligent company, especially lately. Well, oh yeah, they might have the pay to win. I don't know. But the thing is, I'm just saying, Blizzard, man, they could just make so much money. License out the tools, run some servers, run custom servers. Like people can license your server. For example, they basically say, hey, you can purchase a license agreement with us. We will host the server. We will give you the development and the modding tools to mod the server. You have access to the server. You can upload your custom content. It may have a slight delay while we verify there's nothing nefarious about your content. And yeah. And just the amount of servers that would crop up would be off the charts, man. You think it's not about money? No, I disagree with that. It's 100% about money. I think at some point it might have been ideology, but right now I think it's just, remember, Microsoft took over. And only thing Microsoft cares about is money. Right? But I mean, so there's only two reasons they would go after all these private servers. There's only two scenarios. One is they're working on their own Classic Plus, and they don't want competitors. Or two, they're working on something else, which is they're working on some sort of tools to actually allow private server developers to create custom content for their licensed servers, right? Those are really the only two options that I can think of, right? And hopefully option B is the one they choose, but I don't know, Option C, here on a second. But I think it would be the biggest. I think if Blizzard did it right and released this private server option for people to create their own private servers and released they had to have to release really good development tools and released a suite of really good development tools. I just think it would be, I think they could possibly turn into the biggest cash cow for any video game in the history of video games. I think it could turn out to be one of the most profitable video games of all time. You know, it already is, but it could be like, I think they could 10x easily, or even 20, 30x their income. And when you think about Turtle Wow, supposedly over 8 years has made the estimate. Some people have tried to come up with how much they've made. The estimate right now is $50 to $100 million. That Turtle Wow has possibly generated $50 to $100 million in revenue since the beginning of, since they started running their server, basically. So I'm up to 12 gold. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grind out, you're going to laugh, I'm going to grind out 30 gold and I'm going to buy myself an epic shield. Hey Daniel, I'm not putting any faith in Blizzard. I don't think that's what they're doing. I 100% do not think that's what they're doing. I'm just saying I wish that is what they would do. I don't think they're doing that. I think Blizzard's working on a private Classic Plus server internally. And I think they just don't want any competition for that server. I don't think they're smart enough to do what I would think would benefit them the most, which is to basically license World of Warcraft and put tools out there for people to create their own versions of the game and make money off of it. You think? I think partially the player base falling off could be part of it too. But I do think they're. I mean, I know for a fact they're working on something. They're working on something. They're either working on Classic Plus, or they're working on a private server option, like a licensed private server option. They're doing one of those two things. I'm hoping it's the latter, but I don't think that's what's happening. I think it's the former. Because Season Discovery seems like it was that. It was like a discovery thing, trying to figure out what can we create that'll work. But the Blizzard Classic team, which initially was 5 people, Valstay, the Blizzard Classic team, which was initially started at about 5 people, is now about 45 people. So those 45 people are working on something. I can't stream for very long here. I kind of started the stream late into my lunch break, so yeah, I've only got about 18 minutes here before I have to go to work, sadly.
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
Oh yeah, Turtle WoW's, you know, except for Ascension, we don't know what's going on with Ascension WoW. They're either in bed with Blizzard or they've been getting cease and desist and they're just ignoring them. So we don't know, right? We don't know? Yeah, we don't know. It's possible that Ascension has some sort of private agreement with Blizzard. Like they're paying them protection money, which, I mean, I don't know if Blizzard would do something like that. But maybe Ascension is just behind the scenes saying, hey, we're giving you 50% of all the money we make. I don't know. I don't know if that's legal or, but it's possible, right? They're paying him protection blood money. Suffice it to say, it's an interesting time. The private server community right now is at a very interesting juncture. Like, it's very, I think nobody really knows what's going to happen over the next few months, so. Yeah, I've got my little wolf mount. Good old Turtle WoW. we'll have to wait and see. Good old Blizzard. If they did do that and license this stuff and put it out there for with tools for developers to work on and create private servers, I would change my view of Blizzard. I would say they actually got half a brain. But I don't know if they'll do it. I just don't think they're smart enough. You know, one question to ask of all is, does Microsoft do that with any of their products? You know what I mean? Does Microsoft, because remember, Microsoft now owns Blizzard. Does Microsoft do that with any of their products? You know what I mean? Well, the companies that have done it, you know, I mean, Epic Games has done it multiple times. They've done it with Fortnite, right? People can create custom content for Fortnite. They've done it with Unreal Tournament. People can create custom content for Unreal Tournament. Epic Games ran the Unreal Tournament servers. They still run them to this day. You can still go log into Unreal Tournament. So, and they've done it with Fortnite. And it's a cash cow. They make a shit ton of money off that stuff, you know? Is it? Yeah. One greedy company, Microsoft, buying another greedy company, Blizzard. It's pretty sad. 203. Mm-hmm. That's it. Optimism, right? Optimism. What's up, Gojo? Yeah, I have to go back to work here in a couple minutes, so this is just a short stream to talk about Blizzard's options with private servers and what they should do, which is probably not what they're gonna do. So
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
I had to take a healing potion. I guess I should have healed up before this pull, maybe. Well, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're hoping they'll do. But I mean, that's the smart way to do it because I think they could make just so much money. Plus, the problem is if they shut down all the private servers, then they release their own Classic Plus, and it's a shit show, which it will be, because they've never proven that they can manage their servers to keep the RMT turn, the real money transactions off their servers, stop the boosting, stop the botting, stop the GDKP. Then any kind of like Classic Plus server they release is going to be dog shit, right? So if they do that and they release their shitty version, nobody's going to really like it except for the dumb people who just don't know any better. And then shutting down the actual private servers that are what people kind of want, you're ruining and continuing to distance yourself from your own player base. Like fewer and fewer people are going to want to play your game, right? Because you basically have killed games they do like, which is kind of like the version of WoW you're looking for, and then you're putting up a version that isn't what people really want. So it's just not good. It's not a good PR move. So, yeah, I'll go play something else. I'm not going to play Blizzard. Like, I don't care. The only way I would ever play a Blizzard Classic Plus, first it'd have to be really good, and they'd have to somehow stop the boosting and the botting and all that. Yeah, I would rather go play something else. Yeah, I'd rather go play. I mean, even though, and I figured out why I didn't like Elder Scrolls Online. Oh, hey, Vols, did you see that I did the dungeon last night? Freaking that dungeon was huge, man. The stone rot. This thing was like massively big. Yeah, I did last night. You fell asleep. Look at, here I am. It was cool. It was really big. I mean, we didn't even finish it. We were in there for like an hour and a half, I think. But the dungeon is like massive. So, see if I've got a map. Let's see. And here you see the map of it. It's that's a cool map, by the way. But it's just huge. How many? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bosses, it looks like, in here. Oh, hey, Nox. Yeah. Sure. I mean, if you want to do it, Nox, I'm not. Maybe I'm not. I don't know if I can farm it, but this is the done. Yeah, we did it last night. We didn't do all of it, but we did a lot of it. So I got a couple items, but they weren't like really great items. I got a couple blue items, but they didn't have intellect on them. I mean, for me right now, leveling on my Protection Paladin, I don't really want to equip an item if it doesn't have intellect or spirit. Well, preferably intellect. I want eagle, like intellect, stamina, or some sort of MP5. Dragon Ball Retreat. Okay. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Looks apparently I have a quest, but I don't think I completed the quest. I mean, this belt is one of the items that I got. Actually, this belt that I'm wearing is one of the items I got. There's a shield. Yeah, I didn't get the shield. But anyways, I got to go back to work. So I'll catch you guys later, man. I don't know if I'm streaming tonight. I mean, I'm sure I am, but I don't know what time it'll be. Probably be late. I'll catch you guys there. Hope everybody has a good day. Peace out, man. Peace out.